Good morning, traders, and happy Friday. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market prep video for March 7th, 2025. Well, I hope your weather's a little bit better than ours is here. We're getting another little bit of a snowstorm at the moment here in central Nebraska. Hope your weather's a little bit better. Let's take a look at what happened in these markets overnight. We had little bit of volatility showing here overnight as Asian markets reversed course, moving lower last night. Australia down by 1.81%, the Nikkei down 2%. India was the only markets that looked higher, and it was up by 0.03%. South Korea markets were lower. Hong Kong down by a little more than 0.5%. Shanghai down by 0.25%. The Japanese 30-year bond hit its highest level since 2008, creating some of those worries and concerns, I think, over there in the Asian markets. If we take a look at European markets this morning, they have also reversed that bullishness that we saw yesterday. DAX this morning down 343 points, or 1.47%. The FTSE is down not quite 0.5%, 39.13 down. And if we look at the CAC, down just about 1%, down 79.38 at the moment. So a little bit of bearishness there. But when we look at U.S. futures, we've got a little bit of a bullish look here this morning, with all three indexes looking higher at the moment. Dow futures are right now up 75 points even. We've got the S&P 500 futures are coming in at up 18.5 points, and we've got the NASDAQ futures pushing 90.5 points higher this morning as we wait on some significant economic data. Looking at oil this morning, if we take a look at those oil producers, we popped up yesterday in oil producers, even though we saw oil moving lower. But this morning we've got some positiveness in the oil market. Right now we've got oil futures are up $1.07 at 67.42 a barrel. Brent crude is also higher, back above $70 a barrel at 70.51, and that has natural gas looking a little lower here this morning, down almost 10 cents in natural gas as this pulls back here. So watch that closely. If we were to take a look at cryptos here this morning, well, they're a little bit lower, but just modestly lower. Right now down $92 a share in Bitcoin, or not a share, in a coin. Just 0.90% in Ether is down about 0.5%. Down $12 a coin, and mostly lower in those cryptos here today. If we take a look at bonds, well, bonds a little bit lower here today, just modestly. 2-year bond is at 3.94%, 10-year bond 4.26%, and the 30-year bond coming in at 4.56% this morning. Those moves have the U.S. dollar looking a little bit lower, and again, we've got that Japanese bond yield really surging to new highs since 2008, and we see the changes that are happening in Europe are also really having the euro gain some strength, and that is weakening the dollar here. If we take a look at precious metals this morning, we have gold just ever so slightly lower now. It was higher just moments ago, but gold right now down $1.80 an ounce. Let's take a look at GLD. That's $1.80 ounce in futures. You can see kind of holding up there in GLD at the moment. Silver futures are also lower this morning by about 24 cents. Silver had a good rally yesterday and now easing up just a little bit here this morning. So kind of keep an eye on that. If we look at copper, copper also pulling back just ever so slightly today after a nice little rally here. We'll want to watch that carefully if it can hold a higher low. Platinum is lower and palladium is pretty flat here at the moment, up just 80 cents an ounce. So what does all that mean for the day? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Friday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thanks so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. Let's dig into these index charts, see if we can gain a little information about how we might want to approach the market for today. Remember, we want to look at the markets for what they are, not for what we want them to be, and shake off that bias. Taking a look here at the diamonds, boy, we just haven't had a whole lot of luck here. We've done a lot of whipsawing in the market, but not a whole lot of luck of getting a relief rally going. Looking at the chart here, you might see this as a kind of an inverted hammer. Now, sometimes the inverted hammer can bring in or a clue of a little bit of a bullish move or a relief rally, but I got to tell you, I think that's going to be dependent on the economic data today. So once again, be prepared for a little bit of volatility this morning prior to the open. Taking a look here, if the bulls can find inspiration, well, we might push back up here and see if we can test this area of price resistance here in the chart. And if we can break through that, I would say back up here to test these recent high candles here, that big white candle that came in just earlier the week, and you can see as we push up into there, we're going to be coming up into a significant level of price resistance up in here, and even the downtrend coming into play. Now, if the bears were to have anything to say, you could easily see those bears push back down and retest these lows. I thought there was a chance yesterday at one point that we might even break down below this area of support, but those bulls stubbornly held in there, not allowing that to fall through, giving us that relief rally chance. But if those bears get anything going today, maybe we retest some of these lows here, and then possibly back down here toward these tails. Beyond that point, if we start dropping through there, well, as you can see, those next levels lower could be a little bit of a painful move for the Dow if that were to fall down through there. And you can see here on our moving averages, that would take us down toward that 200-day moving average, which really wouldn't be all that odd after a failure of the 50-day. So watch carefully for that possibility if those bears do get going based on any data. If we take a look at our SPY, well, SPY had a rough day yesterday. We actually made a new low before pushing back up. Again, might be more of a long-legged doji in there, or a big long-legged spinning top doji in there rather than an inverted hammer, but you might see it as that. Kind of keep an eye on this. If the bulls can find inspiration here, well, I see a little level right through here that we would have to test and break through first. If we can break through that, then I think we can come back up here, retesting this resistance, this downtrend line here in the chart. Watch that carefully. Of course, breaking through there, we might be right back up here into these ugly black candles to see whether or not we can break back through in that chart. Now, unfortunately, if those bears were to get something going, you can see we did give a hint yesterday that we can go lower, and I think that next level lower might be right down in here if those bears were to get going. So watch that carefully. If those bears push down through these lows, watch for this area down here to maybe be tested. And our moving averages in here, you can see we did give a good solid test of that 200-day moving average. We're trying to hold it in here, and a break below here to that next level could really set up a failure there at the 200-day moving average. If we take a look at our QQQ, well, QQQ also had a rough day. We actually made a new low yesterday in that QQQ. But if those bulls can get going, maybe we can start pushing up in here to test some of this resistance in the chart. This is a very, very steep downtrend in here. So breaking back up through here, maybe we can come back up and start testing some of these levels up in here and that downtrend in the chart. We're going to need some good economic data, I think, to make that happen. Although we are due for a relief rally, we're just not feeling the vibe here that much in the market. If the bears have anything to say and they push back down below yesterday's low, if they were to break that down into here, you can see there is some price support down in this area that we might start looking for that next level lower here in the Qs. And again, on those technicals, we are below our 200-day moving average, having closed below it yesterday for the first time. We'll want to watch that pretty closely here if we continue to get that bearish push to the downside. Of course, bouncing back up on some good data, maybe we hold in there and start that little relief rally recovery that the market kind of needs at this point. And then if we take a look at our IWM just resting in here on some support. We've kind of got a little area of support that runs back over here. Unfortunately, if those bulls get pushing, we've got a fairly significant resistance up here that we need to break back through, and that goes all the way back to the lows of 2021 and 2022 of that consolidation. So that might be a tough area for us to push through, and we do have this little bit of downtrending area in here that we'll want to be paying attention to, that we'll have to break through if those bulls can get going. Now, if the bears have anything to say, it certainly isn't that hard to see that possibility if something comes in bad in the data, how we could push down and break down through these levels. Looking out here, I think that next level lower is probably somewhere right in here. So be prepared for some volatility this morning, and anything is possible in this market. We are overdue for a little bit of a relief rally. But remember, the way the market is acting, the uncertainty that we have in the market, those bears certainly have an opportunity to keep pushing. If we take a look at our VIX, well, our VIX didn't help us out much yesterday. Our VIX closing up here, not quite at 25 handles, but pushing up. Our next level's higher. If we get some bearishness, I think would be up into here, passing through that area. And then of course you can see we can get a lot higher in the VIX if that worry really starts to creep up in the market. If the bulls find any inspiration while pushing back down below this area of price support, could be a very, very important thing for us to see, and maybe start coming back into this level of price support and trend. We'll want to be watching for that. If we take a look at our T20s, our T2122 indicator, well, as you can see, yesterday we had gotten that little bit of relief rally, and I suggested the possibility, if the bears had anything to say, we had opened up a door for some additional selling, and that is what happened yesterday. With that in mind, we still haven't come all the way back down to the lows, so watch that carefully. If we get some bearish activity in here this morning, we do have a little bit of room to move lower here, and unfortunately there is history that shows us we can be down here and we can linger down here in these low areas for a period of time. So watch carefully for that possibility. If the bulls, however, have any kind of inspiration, we've got tons of upside opportunity for them if we can get that relief rally going here in the market. If we take a look at our T2108, well, unfortunately T2108 moved lower yesterday, but the good news is by the end of the day, we ended up holding this area of price support in the chart, so it didn't get worse. Here we've got about 26% of the stocks holding above their 40-day moving average. Pretty tough to build a bullish case in here, but if those bulls can get going, we can certainly see we've got some resistance levels above that we'll have to challenge, see if we can break back through, but certainly possible here if we can get that relief rally going, because we are oversold in the short term. And if those bears have anything more to say, well, we can certainly see that we can go lower here in T2108. Our T2107 very much the same. Unfortunately, it did make a new low yesterday, continuing to push on down. Percentage of stocks above the 200-day moving average coming in at about 33 to 34% in here. You'll notice we've got some support levels in here that we're testing in that area. So if the bulls can find some inspiration here and start bouncing up off of there, that would be a nice sign that relief is on the way here in the market. If the bears have anything to say, well, you can certainly see that we can go lower here in T2107. And then our T2101, unfortunately, our T2101 just really didn't give us a lot yesterday. Kind of that breadth dying off in the market, hooking over just a little bit. It was interesting that as the selling came in, that's where the breadth turned back up. Earlier in the day, as the bulls were in here, our breadth was kind of flat like that. It was the sellers that brought that breadth back up. So right now, the bears kind of have some control here. We need to see some good data to kind of reverse that here in the market. So watch that carefully. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. And our economic calendar, we've got, well, a few things that we're going to have to pay attention to. First thing this morning, we're going to get that all-important employment situation number here today. And unfortunately, they're predicting in the consensus that we're going to see growth in that non-farm payrolls. Well, our Challenger job cut report and our weeklies wouldn't necessarily say that's going to be the case. So there is a possibility of a miss here, disappointing the market. So watch carefully for this number coming out today. They're suggesting unemployment rate stays at 4.0. They're suggesting private payrolls increase to 143, that manufacturing payrolls are going to increase. Unfortunately, they're suggesting the average hourly earnings declining to 0.3. They didn't give us an idea on the annual in here, and that the average work week could tick up by 1/10. So watch that carefully here for today, the most notable of the day. And then, of course, just a huge amount of Fed speak here today with Jerome Powell. We always have to pay attention when the big guy himself is speaking. He can obviously move the market, so watch that carefully. 12:30 Eastern time. We've got a Baker Hughes number that will be coming in at 1. Some more Fed speak, and then, of course, consumer credit at the end of the day. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar here for today. And our earnings calendar, well, it is just pretty darn light today. We don't have a whole lot to worry about in that earnings calendar. And we're starting to really diminish in those number of earnings anyway, but the only notables I have for the day are AQN. AQN will be reporting before the bell, and here a $4.79 stock. It's got a beautiful pattern in here, but not exactly a massive notable here on the day. And then GCO is the only other notable here this morning. It looks like that's already trying to make a move lower, so watch that carefully here. Of course, yesterday after the bell, Costco reporting, looks like that is just a little bit lower here this morning. And Broadcom could help the techs probably as much as anything, but Broadcom maybe just a tiny bit lower here this morning after a good solid rally yesterday, so watch that carefully. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, everyone, if you could do me that favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube, and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And I know there's a lot of folks that watch my videos that aren't subscribers. If you could just click that subscribe button, it's easy, and then you'll be notified every time I post a video. And then for those of you who feel like the video is useful, if you could do me that favor, click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That will help the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much. By the way, I've been kind of lazy here, not doing the blog in the morning, and that's just simply because we've got so much going on here. Obviously my brother's passing is behind us now, and my mother-in-law is coming up on Monday for her services, and we will get past that, and it should free up some of my time, and I'll be back doing more of the normal blog here every morning. Let's take a look at some of these stocks setting up. Remember, everyone, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence, be very, very careful in this market, and be paying really close attention to the whipsaws and the potential volatility that we have seen. That uncertainty going into the weekend is always something to pay attention to. Now, if we take a look at some of the healthcare type stocks out there, J&J is looking pretty darn good here. Nice little resting pattern here. We've obviously, if we can hold this support area in the chart, then we may have that opportunity to push on higher. Keep an eye on J&J. Seeing some other healthcare stocks like and drug makers like Merck making this move up out of a bottom, trying to perk up. There's still a little bit of gap that needs to be filled here in Merck. It's not exactly the chart that just suggests you need to run right in there because of this downtrend. But if we can break above that 50-day moving average, then we have that opportunity to see that bullishness come in with that rounded bottom breakout pattern. We've got BMY holding up here nicely, holding above some support in the chart, and every reason to believe that could push on through. Again, it's kind of that old boring defensive type stocks and healthcare stocks that do well in uncertain markets. And we look out here for those dividend payers, and they're doing pretty darn good. For example, AT&T, and I have a bias here because I have been holding this on a long-term pattern from back in here, and you can see it's doing extremely well on AT&T. So watch that closely here. Nothing wrong with that chart at all. I would honestly prefer to see this rest a little bit, but I'm not sure I'm going to get that opportunity if the market continues to stay uncertain this way. Verizon is another nice pop there yesterday, and Verizon pushing up. You can see trying to get something going here. If we can hold above this support, hold in this trend area, it might need a little bit more time to consolidate this, but watch that carefully on Verizon. That's looking pretty good as well. Some retail in the discount retail area coming up just a little bit. Boy, we have hated on Dollar General here for a long time, really pushed it down. Maybe it's starting to get its sea legs here a little bit, pushing up through its 50-day moving average here, trying to hold this rounded bottom breakout pattern. Not the best looking chart pattern by any means, but might be something to keep an eye on if we continue to see the pressure in the market. Sometimes these discount retailers do pretty well, so watch those closely. You may want to take a look at some stocks like Lemonade, trying to hold in this bullish pattern. Tried to pop yesterday, pulled back. Watch that carefully in here. I still think Uber could be setting up as it tightens up this pattern, sliding out here to trend. I would watch that on Uber. Still liking the way Biogen is looking. Nice pop through my alert yesterday. breaking this downtrend again. That's that healthcare drug maker sector looking pretty good. And you can see in here popping through that 50-day moving average for the first time. If this can hold up in here, I would say we've got a nice looking rounded bottom breakout pattern potentially setting up on Biogen. We've got CRL in that nice little inverted head and shoulders pattern that I talked about, trying to push up in here, trying to break through that 50-day as well. And then Baxter making a pretty good move yesterday, and looks like it's gapped down a little bit this morning, but trying to push back up already, showing signs of some bullishness in there on Baxter. Again, healthcare, that kind of stuff, looking pretty good, holding above its 200-day, and may start extending on up from there. So keep an eye on Baxter. I got to tell you, when we look at the financials here, though, I'm not so confident. We're seeing XLF showing quite a little bit of weakness. You can see we fell through our 50-day moving average now. I think any rally back up, if we push back up toward that 50-day moving average, I would be watching for that failure pattern here in the financials. Keep a close eye on that. And when we look at our regionals, boy, KRE just really fell all apart. This is the pattern that I'm looking for in IWM, where we break down through that 50, we rally back up to test it, and then fail down toward the 200-day moving average. So keep an eye on KRE. Holding its 200-day might get a little bit of relief back to the upside, but I got to tell you, any relief or consolidation over toward this trend, as long as it stays below some of this resistance in the chart, I'd be looking for the next potential short there in some of those financials. Not looking all that great. Take a look at some of the defensive sector stocks out there. Now, I have a bias in Altria because I'm holding it, but Altria continued to look pretty good. Again, that strong dividend payer, that safety play, is what I think is doing here. I don't think it's just because of the company. It's everyone's looking for a little bit of safety. So watch that carefully here. Altria moving to the upside. Look to some of the things like Campbell Soup rallying back here. KHC holding in here on a bullish pattern. Schmucker's holding in here on a bullish pattern. We're seeing a lot of those defensive sector stocks showing signs of bullishness. Take a look at Tyson. Tyson could be setting up in that bullish pattern. Again, defensive sector stock, trying to hang in there and hold up. And there are quite a few of those that are showing those bullish patterns. And again, it is that area of the market where we're just looking for safety. Now, I will tell you this, that if we do get a relief rally, don't be surprised to see some of these pull back. If that relief rally comes in, you'll see a little bit of money come out of those and head out toward some of those, big techs and stuff like that, try to gravitate over there. But this rotation is continuing to happen, and if we can continue to see these uncertainty in the market, I would expect some of these old, boring defensive sector stocks to hold up and look pretty bullish. So watch for those carefully. So with that, everyone, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. Hopefully you and your family have a great restful weekend. I'll see you right back here bright and early Tuesday morning, because I will not be here Monday because of my mother-in-law's services, and we're going to have a house full of people staying here that are coming in for the funeral. So I will be gone all day Monday, but I will be back next Tuesday. I want to wish you guys all the best. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you just as soon as we get some of these nasty little things behind us. Take care, everyone.